The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And let me first take this opportunity to wish you and your wonderful wife, Heather, on your retirement. Although we sit on opposite sides of the House, I've always been inspired by your humility and integrity, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for your service, Mr. Speaker. It's been a pleasure working with you over the last 5 years. I'm speaking to you today from the unceded lands of the Algonquin people, and I want to first congratulate the Minister of Finance and the Deputy Prime Minister on her historic budget. Historic in many ways, most importantly, this being the first federal budget introduced by a female finance minister, which is, again, a historic moment for all of us. And of course, I speak in support of the budget that offers so much hope to so many people. There are three main objectives that are outlined in the budget. First is to finish the fight against COVID-19, a fight that all of us have been engaged in. Secondly, to heal the wounds of the COVID-19 pandemic. And three, to creating more jobs and prosperity for all Canadians. COVID-19 has impacted all of us in Canada and around the world. In Canada, we've lost over 23,000 people. My thoughts are with all of those who've lost family members and friends to this pandemic. I know many have not even been able to celebrate these incredible lives at proper services over the last 14 months. My thoughts are also with the many who have lost their jobs and are struggling to hold on to their businesses. As I speak to you today, Mr. Speaker, our hospitals in Ontario are overflowing and are at the brim of collapsing. They're struggling to cope with the third wave and are trying to arrest this virus. Scarborough is one of the hotspots. Scarborough Health Network has done an incredible job, and so has the Toronto Public Health. But despite the best of efforts, the pandemic appears to be out of control. As a federal government, we've been at the forefront of fighting this pandemic. 80 cents on the dollar have been spent by the federal government for all COVID-related spending in Canada. We've helped Canadians get back on their feet and continue to do so until the end of the pandemic. Canadians expect all of us to work together at all levels of government, whether it be the province, the federal, or the municipal governments. Locally, they expect all of us to collaborate to come up with solutions. So let me make it clear, Mr. Speaker, I intend to work with my Scarborough elected MPs, all 6 of us, along with our provincial counterparts and our municipal counterparts. In this moment, I also want to acknowledge some of the members of the Scarborough Health Network I was fortunate to meet at one of the pop-up clinics. Dr. Lisa Solomon Switzman, Dr. Kanna Vela, and Dr. Myron Ravichandra, as well as the Taivu Community Health Center I was able to visit recently as they were vaccinating people, and their executive director, Libin Gibber-Mikkel. Like all Canadians, I have people who have died and survived COVID-19. Let me tell you about a fighter in my community of Scarborough Rouge Park, Mr. Speaker. Peter Tevaraja is a small business owner. Back in January, he was diagnosed with COVID-19. He's been fighting this for the past 3 months with the help of his amazing family, the staff at Lake Ridge Health in Ajax, and his friends. He celebrated his 70th birthday 2 days ago. And short to form, he's fighting one day at a time. And I know that his miraculous recovery will return him home to look after his beautiful garden and his grandchildren. A very hopeful birthday for Peter and for many more who see the light at the end of the tunnel. As vaccines roll out en masse, between 48 and 50 million over the next 10 weeks, the struggle of all Canadians will come to an end. As we come out of the pandemic, this budget looks to ensure that we build back better. And here are some of the key aspects of the budget that I wish to highlight. Today, as was mentioned by many, is Earth Day. Climate change, Mr. Speaker, is real. Today, we're delivering on our commitment to Canadians and increasing our ambition to fight climate change and build a cleaner economy. This morning, our Prime Minister announced at the Earth Summit that we're committing to cutting emissions from 30% of 2005 levels to between 40 and 45% by 2030. This is where we need to go for our health, for our economy, and for our kids. We have a credible and tested climate plan that is already delivering results. We have made historic investments, more than $100 billion to build a cleaner, healthier economy with more good jobs for all Canadians. And this includes $17.6 million for climate and environment in Budget 21, $15 billion through the strengthened climate plan, $15 billion in dedicated ongoing transit, $60 billion in pan-Canadian framework. We will continue to fight climate change, invest in our cleaner future, and build a stronger economy. Locally, in the City of Toronto, we will be supporting many of the initiatives on climate action, including the development of the Rouge National Urban Park, which became a reality in 2016 with the work of many of our colleagues, including my good friend from Scarborough-Guildwood. The second major aspect of this budget, Mr. Speaker, is early learning and childcare. And we know that over 51 years, we've had to wait for a national childcare program. The Royal Commission on the Status of Women reported in 1970 of the need for immediate prioritizing of this. And unfortunately, it's taken over 50 years to get here. But nevertheless, we're here, and it is a historic moment for us to capture. In the City of Toronto right now, the average expense of a child in childcare is $1,327 per child. And that's a number that is unaffordable to many. And this particular budget promises to develop a comprehensive plan with 50% reduction on the average fees to be by end of next year, with an average of $10 per day starting in 2025, with ongoing support thereafter to the provinces and territories to implement a national childcare program. Mr. Speaker, young Canadians have been critically impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and I've had a chance to meet many from the riding of Scarborough Rouge Park. As you know, the University of Toronto Scarborough campus, Centennial College, Oliver Mowat Collegiate Institute, as well as St. Mother Teresa Secondary School are all in my riding, as well as many elementary schools. And they've been impacted significantly on a number of fronts. This budget proposes to invest $5.7 billion over the next 5 years to support young Canadians, to get them on their feet and to make sure that the effects of the pandemic are limited to them. We'll be waiving interest on the student loan for another year, thereby saving $1.5 million. We'll be enhancing repayment assistance of repayment assistance that will allow many young people to not pay back their student loan until they make $40,000 a year. We'll be doubling Canada's student loan grants to another 580,000 students and graduates, and it's extending disability supports. We'll also be providing additional 50,000 work placements for students, as well as 7,000 additional employment and skills strategy through the Employment and Skills Strategy program. And we'll be providing 85,000 work integrated learning placements through MyTex. Mr. Speaker, this budget offers so much more, including one of the things that I've been advocating for, along with many of my colleagues, including the member for Pickering Uxbridge, as well as my other colleagues who've been directly impacted with long-term care homes. That is an investment of $3 billion into the long-term care homes over the next several years, as well as an increase in the old age security payments for those who are over the age of 75, as well as other supports, including $15 minimum wage, which is far overdue for those working in the federal sector. Overall, Mr. Speaker, there are many elements of this budget that are critical, including additional investments in Indigenous communities, as well as combating racism, as well as investment in Black communities. So I'm very proud to support this budget. I look forward to the questions, and I want to thank all my colleagues for working hard during this pandemic for all Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.